How are you guys recovering today?
I'm fine,
I'm
man. I
fine.
was
You
fine.
needed recovery today?
No, I didn't need a recovery. I was fine. I was good.
I was
Uh-huh.
just tired. I've
Was
been
I on my
lacking.
worst? Was I on my worst behavior last night? I think I was okay. I thought I.
No, your worst behavior was Gikoto. There's no stopping that at this point.
I thought I was pretty well behaved last night. I think I made some
You-
new friends. You
yes,
know,
you were
Yeah,
tame yesterday.
It was a fun event. It was awesome.
it
Yeah.
was. Yeah.
why don't we tell the audience what we did last night? I don't think it was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
because
do
they
it.
posted it all. They shared it all over the internet. So I
They
mean, it's not
they
a secret anymore.
definitely
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
definitely deserve a little recognition from our local peers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Corona Farms, our home venue.
You guys are like there every weekend. I think there was like a 10-day period where you guys are there like 4 or
Yeah.
5 times, right?
Yeah. And
Mhm.
they had an industry event last night where they invited a bunch of planners, photographers, videographers, DJs, and a whole bunch of people from Jersey just went to hang out. We got to eat their cocktail hour food. We got open bar. We
Uh-huh.
It was
took
But
nice.
but
tours.
aren't you sick and tired of eating the same? I mean, you eat that stuff every single weekend, right? On consecutive days,
I
right?
I did, but there were certain things that I don't normally see, like that sushi tower. That's something that we don't really see often. The steakhouse station outside is not something you see often.
Yo,
So
The
that steak
donut
was
there
thing.
was a
amazing.
couple
That
of
steak
Steak was
was
yeah.
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
amazing.
So there was a couple of different things that we normally don't see. I guess they're add-ons.
Oh,
So
and the fruit soaked in vodka. Hello, that was
Yeah.
delicious.
Yo, they gave me some of that sour apple. I was like, it was like 90% alcohol and like
Yeah.
10% fruit. It was so strong. It was so strong. But you know what I thought
Loved
was
it.
really, really nice? Got a chance to meet the owners and the people who are running the place.
Mhm.
Because a lot of times when we're showing up to work on the wedding day, you know, we might get to hang out with the maitre d' a little bit, but we got to meet their sales team. What I thought was really nice was the owner came by our table, and I
That
thought it was
was
just some
funny.
random vendor. You guys remember that?
Yeah,
He's
You're
that's
like,
like,
funny.
"Hey,
what
hey,
do
what
you
are you guys?
do?
What are you guys?
He's like,
Photographers?
"Who
What
are
about you?"
you?"
I'm the owner.
That was amazing.
Because I don't
Everyone's
get
like,
to
what do
meet
you
these
do?
people. I don't. Yeah, who are you? Can I get your card? But anyway, he was really nice. He was very graceful about it. He gave us a tour of the property. He took us out to the greenhouse. He picked some fresh spinach for us and fed it to us. So I thought that was really nice. You know, with such a big operation as theirs, the fact that you have real people behind that
Hmm.
brand and they're good human beings too. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. You
Hmm.
know,
Yep.
especially in this day and age with social media and everyone's kind of uptight and everything about their work and their business and everything. It's nice to have
Yeah.
like sort of like a mom and pop feel when you're interacting with that business.
We
Oh yeah.
and honestly, like this is all across the board. Venues are a lot of venues are known to not treat us vendors properly, So
Hmm.
they're one of the few in our area that treat us like normal human beings.
Hmm.
Yeah. You know what's the funniest thing that I remember in recent history was that like the venue was it the venue who put you next to the sweetheart table, the vendor table next to the sweetheart
Mm,
table?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was Corona. It was the one we went to yesterday.
Look at the face of our
Uh,
guest.
I don't
he's
want to
he,
be there.
he's waiting in the wings. He can't wait to get in. But anyway, that's enough small talk. You guys ready to get this podcast started?
We are.
All right. All right, guys. Welcome to the Focus AM podcast. My name is Ben,
I'm Karis.
This is Jen.
And this is Ro.
and today we are definitely focused AM.
Yeah.
You guys focused AM?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
ready to
yeah.
go.
Yeah.
Excited with today's guest.
Yeah, awesome.
Yes.
So you guys have known him for a lot longer than I have. Why don't you guys go ahead first?
So this guest we met years ago, right? WPPI,
Yeah.
maybe 3,
Vegas,
4 years
where,
ago.
where it all goes down in Vegas.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
We consistently see him on the conference circuit every year, and
Yeah.
every year doing something different, workshops.
And also consistently racking up awards.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
Gotta save some for the rest of us, right? And then how did you guys get to connecting? You just saw him on stage, or you just like,
No, I think
we,
just like
we
in the
crossed paths a couple of
halls,
times,
yeah.
and the one year I think we volunteered, and Ali and Kathleen were friends with you, and we were all having lunch, and you joined us, and from
Yeah.
then on, we've just been friends since then.
Mm.
yeah, I first ran into our guest, I think at Wedding MBA.
Mhm.
at Wedding MBA,
Oh,
and
that's right. Yeah.
I remember he was doing a presentation, like a very thorough presentation about everything, but somehow he mentioned something about traveling abroad for work, and he got stuck on that topic for like in that Q&A for like 30 minutes. He couldn't
Oh
finish
yeah.
he couldn't finish his presentation because
Destination
people
what? Yeah.
people kept asking questions like, "Hey, what do you pack if you got to go shoot in Paris?" Like, what are you talking about? I just told you what my kit was. Why does it matter? Like, listen, that's not important, y'all. I'm trying to teach you guys something else here. You guys are asking me some really dumb questions. He's probably not saying. Actually, he definitely didn't say that, but I imagine that's probably what he's thinking. He's like, why are you guys asking me these questions? This doesn't matter, man. Yeah, but in any case, I think he's ready to hop on in. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome Andre Brown to the podcast. Welcome.
What's going on,
Awesome.
guys?
Hey,
How much of what we shared was actually true?
I mean, when you give talks and stuff like that, it's always funny because I am such a perfectionist. Like I obsess over like these slides and being sure that I have enough content and stuff like that or whatever. And then, like you said, all it takes is that one question that somebody asked that takes it incorrectly, and then all of a sudden you go in all of these different directions and you like, I'm not going to be able to get through like my slides or whatever. So there's a lot of times where like the last couple of minutes of the presentation where I'm just like, hey guys, this, oh, and this and this, and oh, let's not forget this, because I'm just trying to get through the
Yep.
information, because there's always going to be those people that leave reviews or whatever. The speaker got off topic, and like, it's not my fault. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it is what it is, man.
Yeah.
do a more proper introduction of yourself, Andre. We of like who you are, how long you've been in this industry. Give us the Andre Brown journey.
Oh man, the journey. Andre Brown, wedding and portrait photographer, based here in Atlanta. I've been shooting since 2015. So I started in 2015 and just kind of started that journey, got into weddings because I wanted to make money, right? And from there, it's been a fantastic journey. Like I never in my life thought I would ever be a photographer. I wasn't one of those people that, grew up and, oh, people like, oh, my grandfather or my dad gave me a camera. None of that.
Yes.
I just so happened to own a camera because, when I was in LA, the industry that I was working in at the time, working with models and stuff like that, the photographers, they didn't own their own gear. You had to rent it, right? You had to rent it for them for every shoot. And as often as I was shooting, I'm like, I might as well just buy this stuff. So once I left LA and I moved to Atlanta, it was all literally just sitting like in my parents' living room. So my mom used to complain like, "Oh, you need to come get this stuff out the living room of my house," and I'm like, "Well, I don't know what to do with it." From there, like my dad and my sister, they kind of convinced me to like get into photography, and I was just like, ah. And then I started doing it and found out that it was actually kind of fun. You know what I'm saying? From there, it was literally just kind of like it literally just took off immediately. And then from there, it was just kind of like that growth of like, all right, well, you're doing these portraits. Nobody wants to, pay the kind of money that you want for portraits, right?
Mhm.
So what's the way that I can consistently, have predictable income? And that was weddings. So I started doing the weddings, started to get better, started to raise my prices and look at it from a standpoint of being able to make the most money per client versus a situation where I'm like doing, $3,500 weddings, but I'm trying to do volume, I'm trying to do 50, 100 weddings, per year at like 3,500. I'm like, I would die. You know what I'm saying? I found Sal on Creative Live. This is like when I first started. I found Sal on Creative Live. I went to Shutterfest, and so I found him maybe like January or February of 2015, and then Shutterfest was in March of that year. So I had no images, no nothing. I literally built my initial portfolio of images at Shutterfest 2015.
You're one of those guys.
You put your portfolio on a workshop?
I was just shooting, right? Like just shooting as much as I could. Like I knew I wanted to do weddings, so I just literally dug into just shooting everything that I could get in terms of weddings there. And I booked 34 weddings my first year.
Nice.
Wow.
Bravo.
Nice.
Amazing.
Nice.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. I guess enterprising folks want to know, right? Like when you first started, how did you get your first 10 clients? How did you get your first 100 clients?
I did have some advantages. So I spent my younger years in Boston, right? I have family that's from Boston. My aunt and uncle used to be programmers. My uncle's still a programmer, but my aunt and uncle used to be programmers for Lotus and IBM. So as a kid, I got to learn different aspects of like programming and stuff like that early on. And so I would go, even when I moved from Boston, I would go back in the summer. They would enroll me in these classes. So I used to go to MIT in the summertime to take these computer classes. And I remember there was I had this C++ class. I hated C++, like programming, like for software and stuff. I wasn't enrolled in that class, but I stole one of the little pamphlets to like learn HTML like on my own. So I ended up teaching myself HTML, which later on became doing web development just for the fun of it later on, right? But in that process, I learned SEO. So I started dabbling in SEO back in like 2006, 2007 in another industry and stuff that I was dealing with. So when I came over as a wedding photographer, I was ranking for weddings before I ever shot my first wedding. So I had this site, portraits of like my nephews, but I was ranking for weddings, right? No wedding content until that was January when I first built that site. I didn't get the wedding images until I went to Shutterfest in March, right? So getting those initial inquiries and things like that or whatever. When I started, my starting price was 2200 bucks. I was fortunate. I came over from working in entertainment. I had a very hefty savings. I wasn't in a situation where like I needed to book clients in order to be able to survive, Even at that point, I spent 3 years trying to figure out what it was I was going to do before I landed on photography to begin with. So I I wasn't in a situation where I'm like, oh, I need to book these clients. So I didn't have to do the $500 wedding and things of that nature. I tried assisting other people and like third shooting and things of that nature, but people would show me no love. I was like, man, I just want to learn. So I literally used to just like lay in the bed and watch YouTube all day long, trying to figure out how to do this, how to do that. This does this does that. And that's how I got a better understanding. But of course, like as you're out on weddings and you're shooting, you're trying these different things and you're learning like, oh snap, that's dope. How did I do that? And then you go out and you kind of continue to try to replicate it. And that's how you get that muscle memory and get better. Long story short, I had a bunch of tools in place that helped me to,
to get your first
find
100. You had a head start. You had a head start
Head start, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
but I would also say that I think a large part of your success is probably due to your scrappiness. You know what I mean? Like everyone was saying no to you. You're trying to help. You're trying to learn from other folks in your industry who are already established, people in your marketplace who are already established, but they weren't giving you any love. So you're like, man, I'm going to try to figure this out on my own. So day and night, you just live and breathe this stuff
Yep.
because
Right.
there was no alternative. You were going to make this thing work, right?
Yep.
Is this a proper read?
Yeah, for the most part, like once I get laser focused on something, I get laser focused on it. I've always been a person that's usually just by myself all the time anyway, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, like as opposed to binge watching TV, which I found around that time. That's when like binge watching shows on Hulu and stuff became a thing, right?
Yeah.
So as opposed to doing that, I was just binge watching content on YouTube, man, like YouTube, and then from there, obviously Shutterfest. Like I said, I went to Shutterfest in 15 and 16, and just used the tools that I had before. So not only SEO and web development, but also Facebook ads. I spent $200 my first year doing Facebook ads, and that contributed largely to the success of me getting those 34 weddings.
$200 to get you 34 weddings?
Yeah, that was 2015 though.
Yeah, it was a whole different process than it is now.
Right,
That's an ad spend for 1 month. At least,
right,
maybe even a week, man.
Yep.
Jeez Louise.
right.
Yeah, yeah. But I do it. That is very admirable, though.
Yeah.
Because I think there are two pieces that are missing when people are trying to get their business off the ground. Right. Number one is just going out there doing the work. Right. You got to
Right.
suffer a little bit for your craft. You got to suffer a little bit for your business. I think people are oftentimes just looking for the shortcut. They're looking for minimal effort, maximum output, right? And unfortunately, I don't think running a business, that happens that way for most people. And I forgot the second point, but we'll go with that
Oh
first
my
one.
god. He's like squirrel.
I had two things I wanted to share, but I ran out. Like, this is why I use a script, people. This is why I use a script. But
Are you still
but
shooting weddings, Andre?
Yeah, I still shoot weddings. I just came off the back of like a couple like really really big ones. So whereas last year was actually pretty slow for me because I had people have heard me talk about it a lot. I had 9 cancellations last year. Like,
I
Wow.
heard.
I-
Did,
and it was crazy, and it was in every single one of them was couples that broke up.
Wow.
Really?
are you
Wow.
sure? Did you look them up to make sure that they did break up, or was it just an excuse so they don't have to pay you the balance? They saw the invoice. They saw the invoice. Like, yo, we gotta tell Andre that we broke up because we can't afford this invoice.
It's so funny too, man, because like some of them were like pretty epic things. Like Greece was one of the
Oh
locations, like
man.
Oh.
so Napa Valley. So I had like these epic weddings, and a few of them I only take like 5 photo video weddings per year, or whatever. But like 4 of those were photo videos, so they were larger contracts. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah, I took a beating last year, so I didn't really do a lot last year. This year I don't have a ton either, but that's mainly because my focus toward the end of last year have been more so on obviously the upcoming conference and like a
Mhm.
couple of other things that I have going on. So I accidentally let weddings get put on the back seat, but I'm revving up to be sure that I'm good for 25.
Go
You went
ahead.
through the same experience, right, Ben? When you were planning your summit, you were like, "Oh, like this was great, but I need to
I
get more
I
weddings
took
back."
yeah.
Yeah.
So similar to you, as you know, we had our own summit early this year, and it's a lot of work. People think that planning a conference, we're just rolling in the cash and like, it's just a big money maker and things. It's not. I had to pay for everything out of pocket. And I imagine you do too. You know what I mean? And the thing is, no one ever gets into this to make money. People who do this, they're doing it to level up the community. They're the people who are around them. You know what I mean? And I don't think people hear that message enough.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's so much work because yeah, I don't know how else to say it other than that. It's just so much work that goes into putting these things together. At least for us, I took my eye off the ball a little bit from our own businesses. I didn't give it the due attention that I had been giving it for the last 13, 14 years because I had put in so much of my bandwidth into planning this conference. So,
Right.
I pumped the brakes a little bit for this year, so that way I can refocus my attention to my associate brands, our own brands and stuff. Like we're doing okay for the. Actually, we're doing okay for this year. Next year, it's a funny year for a lot of people, but I think some of it I can attribute to it just me taking the foot off the gas a little bit too much.
Right.
So I need to refocus my attention to get us back on track. That's all.
How did you fall into the education space, Andre?
It's funny, like I did not want to be here. Like it is
But you were so like invested.
like
You were like
it's
the
so
heart.
crazy.
Every time we go to a
Doing
conference,
your own
Andre,
summit.
we go to WPPI. He's teaching like 5 classes, a photo walk, and now he's like, "I don't want to be here."
Like for those people that know me, like I am extremely quiet. I'm extremely reserved, right? I get around to people that I know at conferences or whatever, and like I'm like class clown or whatever. But once that's done, I'm back in my room. I'm reading my Bible. Like I am solitude all the time, right? I don't like to be seen. I don't like to be in front of people. I mean, it's crazy because obviously I've developed more of comfortability with that now or whatever, right? But I remember years when I'm talking about years, I'm talking about recent, like 21, 22, being getting ready to go on stage and like praying my laptop would die so I wouldn't have to do the presentation.
Oh my goodness. That's
This is
oh
like
my gosh.
hard drive praying. It's like it was crazy, man. But I was just kind of like placed in this position, God's plan, not mine, right? And so since I'm here, like I just have I just have that drive to do my very best with it, right? I really I want to see people win. I want to see people succeed. With me, with education, the biggest thing had been when I was trying to get in and just learn, right? I was just trying to get in and just learn. Nobody would help, right? So I made it a point to where I'm not like that. If people ask questions, they can ask questions. I had people come and like assist and things of that nature or whatever. Like if they want to learn. I'm open like that, right? Just because I want to be something different than what I had access to when I first started or whatever. So, one of how even the summit came about was that, I mean, I'm at all of the conferences. I see the holes, right? I know going to Shutter got me my first content that I needed to be able to start to build the business, right? But I know that ultimately my content evolved. I shoot more higher end clients and things of that nature, right? There is no space in the current ecosystem of conferences that provide you with that opportunity. So I'm creating the space that's in between. All right, I've gone to WPPI, I've gone to imaging, I've gone to Shutter or whatever, but I want to be able to kind of level up what it is that I'm doing, but I can't afford to go out there and have a floral designer come in and spend $4,000 or $5,000 or $3,000 on a floral setup to shoot a maternity session, right? But we also know that that clients they're less willing to make that investment in you if that's not something that they're already doing. They're going to go to somebody who's already creating that type of content, right? I was fortunate enough that early on I was able to say, hey, all right, cool. I want to do a maternity session. I want all of these florals. I want all of this decor, and just go in and go pay for it myself. Create the content that I wanted to be able to shoot ultimately. But everybody's not able to do that, right? So it's harder to attract those more luxe clients and things of that nature if you're not already producing that type of content. So
You can't
that's
sell. Yeah, you can't sell what you don't show.
right. You can't sell what you don't show.
Right.
Right. I talk about that all the time when it comes to like wall art and stuff like that. Like you have to buy wall art. You have to buy I got a bunch of albums right here. You have to buy the fancy albums and stuff like that to let people know that this is something that you can do. Because if I tell you, oh yeah, you get an album, with this particular package, an album,
Don't know.
that's vague. You know what I'm saying? It could
Mhm.
be, 8x8, black leather with gold stamping versus my super custom 12x18 with crushed velvet on the inside or whatever the case may be. You got to be able to show the differences to be able to sell it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So for the summit, you wanted to fill that gap. So tell us more about the summit, what's going to be involved, and kind of give us more idea of how you're filling that gap that you've seen.
So more so with the shooting opportunities, right? Like to me, there's only really one true conference that I've been able to attend, right? That provides you with the opportunity to just build your portfolio. That's Shutter, right? And I know firsthand because that's where I started. The Portrait Masters was cool. They provided opportunities for you to be able to shoot like, higher end models and things of that nature, whatever, but it's still portrait based. It's just backgrounds and things of that nature. Whereas for the summit, I'm teaching a reception lighting class. I've decorated a 4,000 square foot ballroom to teach a reception lighting class,
Oh
right?
my gosh.
So I have a high end designer coming in who's, design. I literally was on a call with him earlier, getting all of the rentals and things of that. Things like that in going over floral designs, estate tables, and all of this stuff, just to teach a reception lighting class.
Man, he's
But
planning a wedding, man.
it's, it's literally a wedding reception. Like, it's literally a wedding reception. But that's the thing. Like, I live in a market that is heavily run by wedding planners.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're on the higher end side of weddings, and I still don't get the super high end clients, right? But even when you're on the high end side of weddings, that market is heavily, run by wedding planners, right? And if you can't shoot decor,
Mm-hmm.
they'll block you, or
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell their clients to hire somebody else. But if
Mm-hmm.
you've never had the opportunity to do
Yeah.
that, you don't know what's involved. I see photographers go into a reception, uh, it's 4 or 5 thousand square foot ballroom with a top flash. Like, what are you gonna do in that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are you gonna do in that space unless you're at a wedding where everything is pin lit and things of that nature, which we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about really, really high end
And
weddings.
yeah.
You can't get away with just that top flash. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I wasn't able to get those higher end things until I started shooting things that I literally had designers that were like, you made that room look way better than what it does. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
well, to me, that's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started getting the recommendations, or people call me like, hey, I got this wedding. I'm not sure about the photographer. Can you come in and shoot the decor? No, you should have hired me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
You know, but unless you get that chance to be in that type of situation, you just don't know what's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the decor for those can be like, I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking
they
like 7-10 foot tall displays
yeah.
of florals, things hanging from the ceiling. Like,
In the
ri-
ceiling, right?
That you need
you're
a
not dealing with a little candles on the table. You're dealing with like a big design.
it's a
It's a
big
it's a
production. Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
Right.
production and design that they've been working on for over a year. So they
Mm-hmm.
want they want to
Yeah.
have the evidence in their portfolio too.
And
Exactly.
shot correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I don't.
amazing.
When I tell people that, listen, I know that you shoot it for clients, and actually, I think there is some kind of mentality that's being spread out there. Yo, you got to shoot for yourself and be authentic, which is fine, right? But the thing is, you should still shoot for others as well. Serve others who are working with you, your creative partners on the day of, because the thing is, you didn't do this on your own. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole team that and you're a cog part of a larger machine, a very important one, right? However, you're still part of a larger machine, and it requires all of you to work together in order to make the thing work.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell people, hey, listen, you need to do a better job photographing the details, even the something as basic as the stationery or the jewelry or whatever it is, right? The food, the catering, cheese cubes, right?
Cheese cube.
Whatever it is, there's an artist, a creative behind that thing, and if you
Right.
can create stuff for them, right? Now, guess what? You've made a new friend in the industry. You now have, when they share that content, you now have access to an audience that you previously didn't have access to. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think people get too up in their head about being authentic and only shooting what makes them happy. No, I mean you're still there to do a job. You're there to run a business. You're there to make partnerships and relationships. That's how you get longevity in this business. If you're
Right.
going in there with a me first mentality, like, hey, listen, they hired me. I'm the big shot here. I shoot how I want to shoot, and that's it. As long as the clients like my work, that's it. That'll be the last client that you'll have. You have to work. You have to work with everyone on the wedding day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the
What?
vendors, they'll if you got the vendors recommending you too, like
Mm-hmm.
it's it just solidifies what clients already thought. Oh, I saw this person's work, and then I went to the planner, I went to the cake designer, I went to the venue, and everybody's recommending this person. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just adds that extra stamp of approval to whatever it is that you're doing already.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Might
Mm-hmm.
be a good segue into like how you get most of your clients these days. Is it mostly through planners? How are people finding you?
Ironically, still through organic. Most of my clients are still organic, although I do get calls from planners and stuff like that from time to time. I'm definitely, at least in my market, I'm priced on the higher side, not on purpose. That was by accident, right?
You
Um,
added a zero in there by accident, and then just people, okay, and they just write you a check.
it's like definitely understanding like your market, and I think we also live in a time too where, which is where I'm falling short, where people want that social proof, like social media and things of that nature. And
Mm-hmm.
if y'all follow me, y'all know I don't post at all, right? So without that added extra validation of the virality of my content and stuff like that, you know, once you start looking at prices and then somebody is same price or cheaper, but they're also, they're going viral, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a thing in my market for sure. It's very clout driven, which is fine. I mean, that's the world that we live in or whatever, right? But I want to be able to create like really dope work and sell wall art. The images that go viral on Instagram or whatever are not the same images the clients are then coming in and buying,
Mm-hmm.
$500 wall art pieces for,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yep.
That's what I care about. I want to take
Yes.
that $7,000-$8,000 wedding client and turn him into a $20,000-$25,000 wedding client. So I would rather make that 20,000-25,000 on one client than to have to shoot 10 weddings to get there, to shoot 5 weddings in order to be able to get there. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
You started IP. When did you start IPS? You do it all yourself, right?
yeah, I do it all myself,
I heard something. I heard something on Spotify, something about crackers or cheese cubes or like a cheese spread. Is that
What?
something that you offer?
Yeah, when I do my IPS sessions and stuff, like I do like a whole charcuterie spread. Like I
Yeah.
do it really nice, right? So I have them come in and sit down. That's on initial wedding consultation, and then on the IPS sessions as well. When you're asking somebody to come in and drop 10,000, and then you want them to drop another 5,000 post wedding or whatever, you know, $50 on like some
Mm-hmm.
Some sausage,
charcuterie,
some
Yes, yes,
pepperoni and cheese cubes.
Trader
you know,
Joe's.
yes.
a bunch of wine, a bunch of like, not even like expensive wine, like prosecco. You know what I'm saying? Like $12 a bottle, or whatever. You know,
That's the least you can
that's not
do.
right. It's nothing in the grand scheme of things. Like so, but if the next person is coming in and oh yeah, send me just I'm gonna just send you the pricing on the email, and it's just like a typed email, with the pricing. Like presentation is
Mm-hmm.
everything. Presentation is
And
everything.
when you have an experience like that, they tell their friends about that experience, and then their friends
Mm-hmm.
want that experience too. I think I heard another story about where you had someone, it was a referral, and their friend got the full IPS experience, but they were out of town, right? So
Yeah,
why don't you go ahead and tell that story?
I have a friend group that I think now I'm up to like 11 or 12 of them in this same friend group, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where I've shot all of their weddings over the years. And one of them, it was funny because we had a consultation. She didn't book me. She didn't book me. So I had a consultation with another one of their friends. I didn't know at the time. They booked me, and then another friend booked me. Well, when I did the engagement session for the first or the second person, the first person called me back and was like, "Hey, I want to book you for my wedding." I'm like, "Oh, I thought you hired somebody." We did our engagement session. We didn't like the photos. Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
They ended up coming back, which it happens. Everybody's not for everybody, but unfortunately for them, when they came back, the prices had changed too, or whatever. So she was like, "Well, what about?" I was
Ah.
like, "Not my problem." You know what I'm saying? Um,
What was it that
but
Fat Joe said? Yesterday's price
It's not today's
is
right,
price.
not today's price.
that's 1,000%. So in that too, with the ability to be able to kind of go through the IPS experience. Like, no, don't get me wrong. We want to be able to take all of the clients through the experience. But let's face it, everybody's not going to be susceptible to coming in and spending that additional money. But one of my weddings that canceled last year, they lived in Cali. And as we were just kind of going through the process, we did the engagement session out there. I was just telling them like, oh, well, typically after the engagement and wedding, like, this is what we do. I'm going to just have to like, send some stuff to you guys or whatever. She's like, no, I want the full experience. I heard from that, blah, blah, blah. But again, we didn't end up getting there with them or whatever. But I think people appreciate that, again, especially after they're spending a particular amount of money on service with you. I really do my best to tailor the service. I can't remember the name of it, so don't ask. But I got this perfume from Louis Vuitton that I really like. All of my wedding clients, when they sign on, I send them a little packet in the mail, copy of their contract. My brand is mostly like black, white, or whatever, so it comes in a black bubble wrap, custom folder. There's information for other vendors and stuff like that in there. But then I also spray the information with the perfume or whatever. So after it's been in the mail for these days, when they open it up, you get that woof. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like a love letter.
Yeah, right. It's
With
also-
love. It says with love on it.
He does that. He puts lipstick on and he kisses the envelope.
Oh, man.
That's awesome, man.
But again, I'm trying to get people to spend like what would seem like an exorbitant amount of money, you know what I'm saying, on photography. I mean, that bottle of perfume from Louis Vuitton, I've literally had that bottle for like 6 years. Like it's the same bottle. I think it cost me like $250 or whatever. It's definitely gotten its worth. You know what I'm saying?
I think you also mentioned, I think word on the street is, I might be misattributing this, right? But you have a studio where they come in to do the IPS, right? So is there like a certain scent to get them in the mood to buy as well? You have a scent in the studio?
So I got rid of my studio in December.
Mhm.
Because at that point I was spending like $45,000 a year on that studio, right?
Mhm.
And it was a little inconvenient. It was a really nice studio, but it was inconvenient, like parking versus where my unit was. If it rains, there's no cover. You got like these pregnant moms and stuff. So, but yeah, I did have a scent that I pumped in there, but it was it was just like a not Airwick. What's the other one?
Febreze?
No, not Febreze. The Glade. It was like a
the Glade,
particular Glade plug-in scent that they actually don't even make anymore, which sucks.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the
Everybody
whole
was coming in.
experience, the visual experience, auditory. You probably have music playing too, and
Hey,
like
If you go
Yeah,
to
me
a
too.
hotel, a higher end hotel, as soon as you walk in,
Yep.
that scent slaps you in the face, right?
Yep.
And it just puts you in this mood, like, oh, this shit is fancy as hell, right? And then you start walking around like, oh, this is so nice. You know what I mean? Like it has that psychological effect
Yeah.
Right.
on everything.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm gonna have to up my my welcome gift game just because of you three now.
Oh,
You
but
know?
Been telling you.
we're about to
Been telling you,
go.
Ben.
We're about to go crazy with this perfume.
I should spray it in a box.
Let's see what they got on the aisle at CVS behind the counter. They got that little glass
Right.
container. Like, see what they got behind
I
the
mean,
counter, right?
Oh, like or at the end of the night when I'm about to say good night to the couple, spray myself. It was nice. Thanks for hiring us.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things though for me is for the past, I've been a wedding photographer for 9 years now. So one thing I started was like about 8.5 years ago. Any client that got my top package, then I give them champagne flutes from Tiffany, right? So top package is 9,000, right? So and that's 9,000 pre IPS, right?
Right.
So if they're coming in and they're spending that kind of money, I go, every woman loves the blue box. Doesn't matter what it is. Every woman loves the blue box. It doesn't matter how much the contents cost. All that matters they're associated with like, oh, this is Tiffany. Well,
Mhm.
in the early days, those two Tiffany champagne flutes cost me $50. So
Mhm.
they spend 9,000. I give them a
Mhm.
gift that has so much of a high perceived value or whatever, but it
Mhm.
only costs me $50. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And they appreciate it. Now, there have been times where, laughing, jokingly rather, I've gotten in trouble because people are like, my husband or my fiance doesn't even buy me anything from Tiffany. I'm like, you're just wine glasses, guys. But every time they go get ready to use them or whatever, they'll think about me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
trying to stay top of mind, like thinking about ways to be able to serve people and
Yep.
not just be self-serving.
Yeah,
That's
I love that
awesome.
Definitely.
idea.
Yeah.
Yep.
We do welcome gifts for everyone across the board. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
But I like that idea of like because we did increase our top to around 9,000 as well.
Yes,
To
a
give
Mhm.
them
couple of people
something a
have
little
booked
bit
it
more.
too. A couple of people have booked it, and
Yeah.
what we've done in the past is gifted them like a nice frame print. But I feel like something along the lines of what you just spoke about seems a little bit more personal.
Mm-hmm. And something that they'll use forever. I forgot who was it. Let's spoke about it. There's a book. I can't remember what it's called, but I think it's The Art of Giving, where it's like you have to be more personal in your gifts, not be so general with like giving everybody the same thing because they're never gonna remember it. They're gonna get the little trinket in the mail and be like, okay, whatever, throw it away, not
Mhm.
remember you.
Right.
But if you pay attention to them, the things they like, the information that they've given you in their
Yep.
client experience, you can cater it a little bit more
Yep.
to
Yep.
something more personal, and then they'll always remember you. So
Mhm.
we
Let's
do well.
let's all get together and try to bulk order from Tiffany.
Now the gifts would be
So
like
with,
$45 a unit, $45 a unit. Save a little
so
bit of
what
money.
they used to do before they got bought by the company that the parent company of Louis Vuitton, what they did was you used to be able to have a corporate account. So you get a corporate account and you would get 15% off. So I was using it for, gifts for the clients. I was using it for personal gifts, my girlfriend at the time,
Hmm.
my mom, my sister, my aunt. I buy them gifts or whatever. I would just use the 15% off,
Hmm.
necklaces, bracelets. But when they got bought out, yeah, the Louis Vuitton company, they was like, nah, we good. Stop that.
These champagne flutes are $200 now from
Yeah,
Oh,
the
and
from
then
their site.
inflation.
yo, you
Yeah.
should have bought them in bulk, Andre. You should have bought them in
Oh
bulk.
no, no, I generally would buy them in bulk. I still have some. Like I
Mm,
still have some
Yeah.
because one of the things is when they would sell out so much, right? I would
Right.
place an
Right. Yep.
order. What I would do is I would go in and send out the orders quarterly, right? Because how they had you do it, you had to send in like a spreadsheet with all of the
Yeah.
information, mailing information, right? So I would do it quarterly. But then what would end up happening was they would run out, so then it would just take forever. So then I started buying them in bulk. So I would buy them in blocks of 10 and then just have
Mhm.
them here because my
Yeah.
black label is still my top selling package. So as opposed to it then coming directly from Tiffany, now they come from me. But I still have 5 of them. I've only sent out 5 so far this year.
mm.
Hmm.
Okay, I found them. So the one I was looking at was the etched one. So the regular non-etched is $100 for two.
So, yeah, yeah. It used to be $50.
Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah,
Times
man.
have changed.
Yesterday's prices are not today's prices.
You're
No.
I
right.
know, I know.
No.
You should have gotten them yesterday, right?
But
Uh,
100 in the grand scheme of things, 100 is not bad. When they're
yeah.
dropping
Nope.
like almost 10, we'll probably drop another
I
5,
mean,
10
our
after.
marketing subscription
Is 250,
yeah, two and
yeah.
a half
So
times that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
So Rolando touched on it earlier. How you started submitting for awards and you're winning all these awards and stuff. Like, I know this is kind of like Rolando's wheelhouse because that's kind of his thing as well. How has that helped you? I guess grow as an artist. Has that helped you in your career, your bookings, and things like that? Like, why do you do it, and what has it given you? What has it gotten you?
Has it helped me in my career with bookings? Absolutely not. Clients is like, oh my God, you won it. I see all these awards you won. Oh, what's the discount? You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Since
know,
you're gonna make awards at my wedding, you know, you gotta hook me
right.
up.
That's their mentality of it. For me, in terms of career as an educator, I'm pretty sure there's some correlation there. There hasn't been anything that's been like directly correlated, like, yo, I see you out here winning these awards, blah blah blah. But I started submitting to awards because I went to WPPI for the first time in 2017, and there was like some photographers that I knew, and they were sitting in on the image competition, and I'm like, I'm hanging out with the people that I knew, right? Because again, I'm a loner, right? So otherwise I would just be wandering around by myself trying to figure it out. And I'm sitting in the room, I see all these images coming on the screen. I'm like, that is the dopest image I've ever seen in my life. They're like, 77. I'm like, 77. You gotta be kidding me. Like, what's
This is
wrong with these judges, right?
this is good sellable work.
Right. And then they start to break it down, and you like, oh yeah, that is a 77. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start to point out the different things or whatever, right? So I remember leaving there in 2017 and was like, because I think it was February that year. And I remember leaving there, like, yo, I'll never be a photographer that wins awards. Like, I don't care about none of that. I just want the money, right? And 2019, I decided I was going to enter competition. I ended up going to a workshop. I met someone there who was a print master. We talked about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to submit my work just to kind of see where I stand. Well, this image right here, first award. I took that image 1 month after saying I'll never be a photographer that wins awards.
That is crazy because you entered that was your first time entering too.
2019.
And
Yeah.
you literally said the same thing. I'm like, I'm never submitting. I'm never gonna win anything. And you both won
First place
that year. Yeah, that's crazy.
But on the flip side of that, I said I would never enter to win awards either, and I did, and I didn't get anything either. I submitted 5 images, and they all got like 79s, right? I'm like, are you kidding me? You couldn't give me that 1 point, so I can leave Vegas with something. You know what I mean? It was infuriating. It was infuriating. So I guess I'll just be with my average ass over here in New Jersey, just selling average
You're not
sellable
average.
work.
Yeah, good sellable work.
What were the ones that you won that year?
So 2019, again, that was the first one right there. So I came in second place overall in the category. So that image scored, I think, either 85 or 86. So I came in second place in the category. And I tell this story all the time because the first place image had Jesus in it. So if I'm gonna lose to anybody, I'm gonna lose to Jesus, and I'll be happy with that. But
you lost to someone that we thought was dying in the photo series. You
we
can't
talked
top
about
those.
that. Yeah.
You can't top Jesus and a traumatic moment. It's just not gonna happen.
Yes.
Fast forward to what, 22? Like, so again, at that point, I felt like I was forced to continue to enter because I'm like, well, shit, I won. If I don't enter again, right, then people are gonna think I just fell off, right? Like I'm just not winning.
Right.
And then
Yes.
I submitted 4 more the next year. I came back with a 3rd place. The next year I submitted, I came back with a 3rd place. And then the following year, which 22, I brought home 2 first place. And I think 22 is probably when we initially first met.
Yep.
I ended up with 2 first place that year. And it's just been like, for me, it's just fun. I've only ever created 2 images that I shot specifically for competition. And the rest of it is just work from clients. So to think that just on a regular, Saturday afternoon, I'm creating these images that people think are, these super great images. I mean, that's fantastic. Now, like you, Ro, you said you lost to somebody who they thought was dying.
Mhm.
I found out the image that I lost to for the Grand Award. Everybody thought this image was like some girl with cancer. She was dying or whatever.
Oh, she had
Somebody
alopecia.
told me
Mhm.
alopecia.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the
I remember that.
panel, when the image came up, I had just walked in the room. They moved the next image up. It came up. I'm like, shit, I'm not going to win the Grand Award, right? Because it's so much high impact. You got the
Mhm.
panel crying. My
Yeah, that's people
mom
crying. Yep.
cancer, whatever. Come to find out, somebody told me last year didn't have cancer. She had alopecia.
Mhm.
Yep.
So, like, you know,
That
impact is important.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yep.
The same thing with the image that I lost to for the Grand Award. It was a series of 3 images. So now you have my one image competing with three images to tell a story,
Right.
right? And it turned out that the story that was depicted wasn't true. So
Not that it wasn't true, it's that it was laid out where that the last image looked like the mother had passed away in the hospital because the bed was empty.
Right.
But it was when they finally told the story, she had gone to surgery. She took that photo of the empty bed, ended the series there, and she said during her speech that the mom was fine, the family is doing great. But again, the art is subjective, right? So in their head, everyone had thought that the mother had passed
there
away.
was some controversy afterwards with the committee, like the print comp committee. Some of the old timers who were photojournalists during their time earlier in their careers, they thought that that was a manipulated series, right? Because as a photojournalist, you're supposed to tell the truth. You're supposed to,
Right.
provide the like images that speak that you
Tell
can
the whole
interpret
story.
facts, right? And what she did there was left it up to your own interpretation. So some people got upset. Other people were like, "Hey, you interpreted it that way,"
Right. Right. Yep.
So I I love this series. I felt
Mhm.
it was very powerful. I can't compete with something like that. But the image that you're talking about, there was a lot of people that were upset over the fact that they thought that that this I guess she was like a teenager, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, she
That
was a teen. Yeah.
yeah, that she was practically probably gonna die, and it turns out that it was a stage shoot to make it look like she was sick.
And that's what makes competition so tough because like I walk the galleries, right, and you walk around and especially after that I think maybe I just notice it more after that, but you walk around, you see the galleries, you see the kids with like the tubes in the nose, like how do I compete against that,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Even when I was judging the final for imaging this year, and it was basically just like a face off. So it could be two random images. It could be an interior and like a photojournalistic image, and you had to pick which one out of the duo would go to the next round. Well, if I got like a kitchen, right, and then like kid with like tubes through the nose, like it's automatic. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
automatic be like this thing, man. So it's tough, man. It's tough.
Mm-hmm. And after Print Cop, you entered a bunch of other different competitions too, right?
I've only entered WPPI. I entered IPC 2 years ago because I forgot last year. And then Portrait Masters, I dropped some stuff into like Portrait Masters and like the Cosmo Awards. Like I'll throw some stuff in the Cosmo Awards. But there's still so many other ones that I haven't done yet. And I keep saying that I'm gonna, end up doing them, but then I just forget.
Yeah, same here, and it's hard to keep track of the submission deadlines, and honestly, like it's costly. Like, if you're submitting to all these platforms, like it adds up quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to pick and choose which ones. And the both of us are already invested in WPPI's print comp. I know you're was it half a point or a point away from your masters?
I am currently a half a point away. I figured I
Alright.
would get it this year, but the mistake that I made was that I I decided that I wasn't going to enter any of the old categories anymore. Any categories that I won in, I wasn't entering those anymore. I wanted to go, spread my wings to other categories, right? So I needed 4.5 points this year. I got 4. I was so pissed, but I entered I entered 3 images into like photojournalism, and I think all of them but one got silvers or whatever. No, one of them got a silver. The rest of them were like, 79, 78.
Yeah.
I had a top 10 in maternity, but I had shot that in 22 and it got canceled for 23. I had a top 10 in boudoir, so I thought that one was going to do really well, but it didn't go top 3 at all. So,
Mhm.
for next time, I really just need to like create for comp,
Yeah.
because of the fact that, I've been so focused on everything else that I haven't put as much time into some of the client work, because I've been focused so much like on education. I'm not getting the content that I would be like, you know what, I'm going to enter this into competition. So I need to go out there and like create some stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I tell myself every year, and I never get around to like.
Yep.
It's tough, like when we're like we do about 40 weddings a year, and 40, 50 engagement sessions, family sessions. It's hard to squeeze in these concepts and then plan it, and it's
Yes.
tough just for at the end of the day. It's mainly for yourself, right? To elevate your work, elevate your growth, but clients come first. Clients
Yep.
are always going to come first, and I feel like what you were saying, that we're always going to be at a disadvantage to the people that are actually creating these concepts just for to win the competitions. And
Right.
that's always been, whoever, especially in the categories that you've been entering, like the portrait categories, like that's such a hard category to compete in.
Right, definitely. Like creating just specifically for competition, like you can just sit there and brainchild it out. Like, you know what,
Mhm.
I'm gonna do this particular concept. But when you're doing client work, you're at the mercy of what the client wants and
Mhm.
how far they're willing to let you take it, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And in the
Yep.
past, I've had clients that are like, yeah, just do your thing. But then social media, people are like, I want to do that. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Let's do something else that somebody else would be like, I want to do that, you
That.
know?
Mhm.
But yeah, the last couple of years, man, it's been a whole lot of, copycat. Like, oh, let's do this. And I'm just like, shoot me, you know?
Yeah. That's you kind of see it in the competition too. Like one of the things that I constantly see every year is the groom shadowed somewhere like on the wall, and the bride is like lit up very nicely, and it's always
Yep.
like a South Asian couple,
Yeah.
and
or
for
or a
some
Korean American one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's where she got her
yeah,
silver.
yeah, and for some reason those, no matter how many times you see them, they still do well, right? It's just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you start to get like you start to see the competition, and you're like, all right, listen,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna do that to win an award. So
right.
it's kind of demoralizing at times as well, but for it's also good to know which categories to enter your work in, and kind of like stick to your strengths.
That is one of the things that I missed since they took that out of WPPI.
Hmm.
I mean, I know they have a more tight version of it now, but
Hmm.
I really enjoyed going through the conference floor, looking at the
Right.
pictures
Yep.
that won, even the silvers and stuff. You can learn a lot, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that they're only reviewing like the winners now, right? But the thing is, you can learn a lot from the ones who didn't win anything at all. You know what I mean?
So, no, they're reviewing the losers as well, but the format, the way that they did it this year was different. They put it on the actual trade show floor,
Hmm.
and then they had us come in and they had us talk about why this image didn't get at least a silver and what can be done to improve it. But in that format, the way that it was, they did have it like classroom style where people could come in and come sit,
Hmm.
but it's on the trade show floor. Everybody's looking at gear. Everybody's trying to like shoot, right?
It's loud
So
as
yeah,
hell.
it's super loud,
Yeah.
and then they do have the ability to be able to purchase, to be able to go see it on the Icon website or whatever. But like, let's face it, people, they're not going to do it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Not going to do it at all.
Yeah.
Once you go home, like the conference is over, you're not gonna pull up a link, go sit there, watch videos. You want is to do it right there at the conference.
It also adds up. Like I submitted like 10, 12 entries, right? Whatever. If I pay $15 for every entry, now I'm like, that's just increasing the budget that that I wanted to spend on. But it is helpful. Like that to me, that was the most important part of the whole competition, was just sitting there for hours and just seeing all the critiques, listening to the critiques, but also they could be one-sided, because all it takes is just one judge to connect with that image, and that will propel your image to the next level, whatever. But there's still a lot of information to be soaked in, just sitting there listening and watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Andre, tell us about your summit, because we're going to try to air this episode, before your summit goes live and everything. We want to help you guys as much as possible with this summit. We want to see it become successful. It sounds like it is. You got a great lineup of speakers. You got I really love what you're doing over there. So let's talk about that summit and how people, what kind of promos you're running. I mean, tell us everything that you want to share with our listeners.
Cool. Yeah. So, the inaugural year of the Bokeh Photo Summit will be going down August the 12th to the 14th here in Atlanta. Amazing lineup of speakers. Like, I went in and I handpicked everybody. And that's mainly because there are people that I've been following for a particular, amount of time. I've kind of seen what it is that they did, and I like what they were doing, right? And I wanted it to be like real information to be able to help people level up what it is that they're doing, as opposed to a bunch of fluff. You know what I'm saying? And and not to say that all conferences and stuff are like, oh, people got fluff. Like we were talking earlier about how things can be like overly salesy or whatever. I want people to be able to go in and really learn, and not just be overly salesy about things, right? Because that's an immediate turnoff to me. So I don't want to put anybody else in that same situation, which is why when I'm at shows, I'm not salesy. I have a slide in the beginning. Boom. Hey, if you want a picture of it, it's here. You can talk to me about it later on. But after that, that's pretty much the gist of it, right? Because nobody really wants to feel like they're being sold to. And then too, like, people that are actually out there actively doing these things versus giving theory because somebody else says that this is how it is, right? As a wedding photographer, I think people can appreciate the fact that I'm in the market. I had 9 cancellations last year. How do you handle that? It's almost $200,000 in business for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when you take that kind of a hit, people need to know and understand that, just because I or other people are seen at like the top of the market doesn't mean that we don't have like these challenges and things of that nature, right? So it's very important to me to provide a real world education. I I went to school. I went to a college called Full Sail. Many people might know what Full Sail is now, but Full Sail, the initial name, it's called Full Sail University now, but the initial name was called Full Sail Real World Education. My degree program was recording arts. So in that, you could have classes and lectures at any time within a 24-hour period. They wanted to give you the experience of what it would be like being on the job in whatever field you were in. So if you were in the film field, you might have a class that has a call time at 1 o'clock in the morning, and you got to be there, right? So you can really experience, what it's like to work in that field, like an immersive experience, right? So that's what I'm doing here, creating that immersive experience, being able to help people create the type of content that they want to be able to create in order to be able to level up whatever it is that they're doing. It's one thing to see me post some beautiful maternity session online, right? And not know what that setup looks like. I'm not sure how much you guys do in portraits, but sometimes setup is janky. And then we got to Photoshop it to make it look like, what the final outcome looks like. And I think it's important for people to be able to see and experience that stuff firsthand to say, you know what, I was really overthinking this. I can do this. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just having some fallacy about, what it was like. Like there was just this perfect experience on set.
Yeah.
No, there was cables. No, there was, light stands that needed to be photoshopped. There was backgrounds that needed to be extended. Like you can really go out there and do this stuff. And I just want to be sure that people leave confident and empowered that they can create the type of content that they want to create.
Yeah.
So where can people get their tickets to this thing?
So you can go to bokehphotosummit.com. It'll take you there to be able to go in and register. Right now, we do have a 40% off with the code late registration.
So they can't they can't combine codes, right? It's just one code. So they can't use
Yeah, it's
that
just
and then
one code.
okay, all right.
Yeah,
Start
absolutely not.
stacking everyone's
This
codes.
guy, man.
Next thing you know, I'll be owing them money when it's all said and done. Like Andre, pay me to come to your conference, bro. I again, like, so we talked earlier about like the whole ballroom setup, right? That's kind of obviously that's the big thing. It's $40,000 that's going into just the budget of designing this ballroom, right? And since we're doing that, I'm teaching the reception lighting class and then giving people the opportunity to be able to build their portfolios with being able to shoot that room. It's already decorated. So the last night we're just gonna have a gala. Everybody dress up, nice fancy event,
Oh.
I'm doing food, so we're in Atlanta, so it will be chicken and waffles because we're in Atlanta.
Love it.
That's the one thing that I remember when we went to Atlanta, the Breakfast Club, whatever it's called.
Oh, Breakfast Club? Yeah.
Oh man, that place was amazing.
So sad we're missing it.
Yeah, y'all are missing out. But me and Karis are gonna eat your share, okay? We're gonna eat.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Eat their share. I'm getting a custom tux for it or whatever.
Awesome.
Ooh. Oh man. Okay. All right. I'll come dressed up. I'll bring my dress.
Right.
I got some tuxes
Yeah,
and suits this year, so I'm gonna
Right.
I'm gonna come correct.
Karis, help him. Don't let him wear the red turtleneck. No red turtleneck.
Yo, Andre, let me tell you. All right, I'll tell the audience, right? So I don't think these pictures have seen the light of day, right? But we took some branding photos. We took some branding photos earlier this year, and we got a couple different outfits. And one of the outfits was a red turtleneck. And then when we got the pictures back, I just looked like a pervert in all these pictures with the red turtleneck. I was like, well, these pictures will never see the light of day, because
But you wore those. You wore it in your shoot with Victor, didn't you?
Well, that didn't look too bad. They didn't look too bad because I had a jacket over that. You know what I mean? So I looked a little less pervy.
This is why you need to go shopping when I tell you to go shopping.
Let your wife dress you.
Yeah.
No. We're not doing that. We're not doing
Go
that.
shopping. We have such a different taste. It would never work.
What do you call those dolls that the ventriloquists use?
Oh yeah, dummy doll.
You look like those dolls that like a ventriloquist puts on your lap.
Yeah. They're usually
just
on.
yapping.
Yeah.
Just a lot of this,
With
right?
the turtleneck.
With the turtleneck.
I'll get a different colored one, but you guys can go ahead and use that promo code that he provided. Was it late registration?
Late registration. Actually, that expires on Saturday, I think it is, or whatever. But we'll see if I feel generous and just leave it open or not.
Or you can use my promo code.
Right.
Afterwards.
If late registration isn't open, use code Ben because Ben is one of our speakers this year. So you can use his promo code and get a discount there as well.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful.
Awesome.
Well, Mr. Andre Brown, it has certainly been a pleasure having you joining us today. We
appreciate the time.
Yeah, we always have a good time connecting with you and all that good stuff. So, Andre, outside of the summit, how can people find your personal stuff?
Oh yeah, so all of my username on all platforms is Andre Brown Photo. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, creating content and stuff like that there. Just Andre Brown Photo. And then obviously Bokeh Photo Summit on all platforms as well. So reach out.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you again so much for joining us. If you guys would like to check out highlights, bloopers, behind the scenes all that good stuff. I don't think we had too many bloopers today, but
No.
No, just your mother-in-law coming by.
Yeah, that was good.
but if you guys are,
Ding, ding.
but if you guys would like to see some of that action, you guys can find that at focused.af on Instagram. And also, don't check out our website at focus-af.com. That place needs a little bit of a house cleaning, sort of like what my mother-in-law was doing earlier today. It needs a little of housekeeping. But we will get that up and running. Also, according to Rolando Molina, our YouTube channel is now live.
Yep.
Almost
where
ready.
you can catch
Yeah.
all of our older episodes on there. If you guys aren't on Spotify, you guys can also check us out on YouTube as well. But anyway, I think that's about it, right?
Yep.
Yep, we're good.
All right,
We're good.
all right, we're good. So on that note, are you guys focused AF?
Yeah.
I have to be now. It's time to work.
Yes.
Yeah, it's time to work. Get to work. Get to work.
Get to editing.
All right,
Yes.
guys.
Bye.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out. We'll see you guys on the next one. Adios.
Bye.
Later.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams Ben and Karis.
And Jenn Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.